Welcome to Mornings with the Focus. Joined by Justin Walters of Return shortly, Wilson Tarpe Jr. As always, just a reminder how this goes. We got a few selected topics, pre-selected topics. And again, you guys are welcome anytime to hit the comment section and join the conversation and share the conversation in a direction that you would like. That said, got a couple topics to get to. Then after that, we kind of have our topic of the day. And then, everybody just get ready to watch some preseason football tonight. Ideally, it's the way things are going to go. Guess we'll start with reports. I'm waiting to see if it's fully confirmed, but that Mac Jones is not expected to play tonight versus the Giants. Very interesting to see how many teams play their starting QBs versus the ones that don't. We know, like, established QBs that don't need preseason. There's like maybe 6 or 7 of those that aren't in new situations or whatever. Maybe not even 6. There's like 5 of them where I get it. They shouldn't play preseason at all. The rest of them, I feel like guys need at least one to 2 preseason games. Maybe not playing in all 3, but at least a couple series in each, right? I think that'll go a long way, honestly. But yeah, Mac isn't expected to play. We've been talking about all the reports coming out of camp with the Pats and their offense, and we talked about some of their offensive struggles yesterday. Looking forward to see what they look like. That said, I don't necessarily agree with it, but we'll see. And I guess the biggest thing, whether he plays or not, just to see how the O-line does, how they look holding up, how they look executing. Another team where Deshaun Watson expected to start the Browns preseason opener this weekend, which is not a shock. It's been out of football for a couple years. I think we all know why. Could still be out of football this season, depending on that ruling. So, again, just you got two ends of the spectrum here. Mac Jones, second-year player, probably needs the reps with how camp is going, is not expected to play in tonight's preseason opener. While Deshaun, who's missed some time, is expected to play. So, we'll see. The Bears, we talked about Roquan Smith's trade request yesterday. The Bears took Roquan Smith off the PUP list yesterday. So I wanted to ask you, Justin, do you think that means a trade is imminent or not? But before you answer, General Manager Ryan Poles said this to the media following Smith's request. I thought we'd be in a better situation. Right now, my intentions are to sign Roquan to this team. We're going to take it day by day. We've got to do what's best for this organization, but my intention is to make sure Roquan signed to this team. What does that mean to you?
For them, they're kind of just holding him there. I don't think they want to trade him. So I think it's just hopefully he gets around his teammates and wants to play again. That's all I think. I don't think there's any, and they'll keep offering contracts, but at the end of the day, I think they just want to get him on the field.
I mean, they could just pay him what he's worth and make all of this go away rather quickly. Because the crazy thing is, like, it's a linebacker at the moment. It's a non-premium position, right? So whatever, like, the highest paid linebacker is getting, it shouldn't hurt your team at all. Like, we're seeing what wide receivers are getting. Like, it's going to be half of what young wide receivers are getting at the highest end. So what are you, like? What is he not paid for? Honestly, that's what I'd like to know. Is why isn't he? It should be easy. Now I want to know what Okay, so Shaquille Leonard's making around 19 to 20 a year. Again, if you feel he's up there, that's cool. If you feel he's a little, if he's not quite there yet, like, offer him 18 or whatever, like 16. Make it happen. Get the deal done. But gotta love the NFL. All right. So the topic of the day, you had a good one. You said with a strong quarterback class next year, what does each quarterback for about 12 to 15 teams have to do to keep their job? Where do you want to start with? Just mentioning the quarterbacks in that next year's class?
Hello? Yo.
Yep.
Sorry, my AirPods acting up.
It's all good. But yeah, what I was saying is, where did you want to start with? I know the topic of the day, I mentioned what it was. Strong quarterback class next year. What does each quarterback from about 12 to 15 teams have to do to keep their job? Did you want to mention the quarterbacks in that class or just get into those teams?
I'm right now at the top of it. You have Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, and then you have it's at that point. There's a bunch of guys with potential. There's a quarterback from Florida that has a lot of tools and pick you up there. There's a quarterback from Kentucky.
We got Anthony Richardson, Will Levis from Kentucky.
Kid from Miami. There's a couple that maybe they don't all make the jump, but you definitely got the top two, and I think a couple of the other ones have the talent maybe to jump into that group. I mean, you know how quarterbacks are drafted anyway.
Right.
You mentioned there's like 5 or 6 that are spoken of. So just with that, especially with last year being a down class as well, which I think we got a lot of teams. I didn't realize how many teams were right there where it could go either way. Where the fans, everyone's saying they should take one, and do they? And then there's the group that's we'll get as we get into the list, we'll see. I thought what I thought about when I was watching the Lions, and I was thinking how could loyalty be their downfall? When they get to this point where you're building, and you start to like these certain players, and you blind yourself to saying man, Goff really helped us get to these 6 wins, but we got 2 first-round picks, and we got all this young talent. Should we pay him or should we just go grab another guy? I think there's a lot of teams in that situation.
Yeah, no. So just looking at a couple mock drafts, whatever. We're talking about another draft where we might have 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the first round. So that's what Justin's talking about. And like you said, somebody like the Lions, I think you're in a situation where if you're picking up here again, you take a quarterback. It is what it is. No disrespect to Jared Goff or anything else, but you gotta look at the financial part of this too, right? If you're able to get a rookie that's worth it, that you deem worth it, on a rookie contract, that means you can go into free agency and upgrade the rest of your team to help said rookie, right? So why pass along that? Why pass up that opportunity? Honestly. Now, do I think all those guys are on the same level? Probably not. However, that hasn't stopped teams from doing this before. Look, it's we're going to year 2, and some people what was it the other day, Jesse? You brought up teams that maybe should have took a quarterback when they had a chance in last year's draft. It's only a year away, and now you got some teams where you cleared the slate where you're gonna go out and compete this year and all that good stuff, and look, we know what you guys are. We know what you're planning for. You're getting your team ready for your next young quarterback, and you got some teams who just have 2 first-round picks because they were ready to make deals last year when they had a quarterback. So I don't know, man. It'd be interesting, but let's go through some of these teams, right? We could take Arizona off the list. We'll take Baltimore off the list. Right. No Buffalo. Atlanta. They took a quarterback last year. It wasn't high, but do you give Desmond Ridder the opportunity? Or depending on when you draft, do you end up bringing in, if you got a chance to get Bryce Young, are you hesitating even for a moment?
Not for the top 2 guys, but I wonder what would Ridder have to do? You know what I mean? For all these guys, obviously winning just puts you out of position where you can't get them. You know what I mean? Or do you go another route? I don't know what Ridder could do. I mean, if Ridder has a Davis Mills type season, does he do you give him another chance? Or if you're 1 or 2, you're just saying, if you're in the top 5, you're just saying, I'm taking one of these guys. I don't care. And I think for them, they're one of the teams that's on the list of taking somebody because they're in the middle of a rebuild. But it is kind of the spot they took Ridder does complicate it a little bit because it's not too early it's not early enough that you have to give him a second chance, and it's not late enough where it's it's just a throwaway. It's kind of that third round, second third round. It's a weird spot. So I mean, I think they'll move on if they have a chance.
Yeah, that's. I just don't know where they finished this year to know if it's high enough to take them out the realm of those top 2. And I guess that's the thing, right? it depends on where you deem Ritter, tool wise to the rest of that class.
Right.
If you feel like he's ahead of them, you mind your business and you go on with your life. But like you said, if you got a chance at those top two, you might tell Desmond thanks for everything. Honestly. We go to Carolina. I don't know if I should mention them or not, since they got Baker. I don't know how this year is going to go for them with Baker. So maybe for now I'll take them off the list. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Baker's he's on the last of his deal. Darnold the last of his, I think. So in their case, I think if they get the pick, they're going to take someone. Unless, I think the guy to worry to walk Corral.
Right.
Only because he's the young one. But
right.
Even then, with them trying to win this year, I don't think, I don't know what they're, how much he'll play. I don't think they'll get to him too early in the process unless it's, quick, like 0-6 or something. But then again, if they don't have enough success, none of those guys will be there next year. So maybe
this is also true.
That might be one to pick their quarterback.
It's true. And like you said, they kind of took their guy for the future, where it gave them some room after you get Baker, where in case it doesn't work, you're like, oh well, my guy got to sit now. Let's give my guy a chance. If you feel that strongly about Matt, we'll see. Obviously, the Bengals aren't in this. I don't think the Bears are either. Cleveland, I don't think they're in the market. Neither is Dallas or Denver. You said Detroit, so I'm kind of with you with Detroit. I'm going to go ahead and take Houston off this list. That's just me personally.
See, that's one of the ones that's like the pressure of, the front office and the coach really have to be together on that. Because
right.
If they win, if they win less than 5 or 6 games, they're sitting right there. Is the pressure too much to take a quarterback? If they're end up in the top, when they're picking the top 5, because you figure somebody like Jacksonville's not going to take a quarterback. But I mean, I don't know. It's the thing is, what does Mills have to do to keep the job? Besides winning, obviously. Like, is there anything he can do besides having in the run for the playoffs? If they go 6-11, even if he's improved, what does that look like?
I don't know. I guess my thing is with him is I don't think he's one of those, it's like, to me, it's not like some underdog story that some people have kind of made it into being with him. Like, you went to playing a Power 5 school. You were the highest recruited quarterback out of your class coming out of high school. Like, I don't know. I think he's safe there. I also don't think they'll be picking high enough to have a shot at. There's only one. At those two, and I'm not going to be messy. I don't think they'll have a shot at those two anyways, because I think they'll be out of the range. But if they aren't, look, that opens the discussion. You got Green Bay, where they already got their, Jordan Love's still waiting. So, take them off. Indianapolis, I think that's interesting. They might take a shot at one of those young guys because Matthew is up there. You might just have to. I don't think they're going to be picking high enough to get one of those top 2. But any one of those guys that's mid-first or late-first, yeah, I expect them to take a shot. Why not? You don't know how much time you have left with Matt Ryan.
Right. They have no real plan moving forward either. So it's not like there's a guy to groom behind them. So grabbing one of these, in that, if they finish, which they probably will, in that 15 to 22 range, you could see them either sliding up a little bit or just taking what falls to them. Just to have a guy to develop while if Ryan plays another year.
Right. We got the Rams and the Jags.
Rams ain't gonna have no picks, so.
Nah, they're only taking one if someone falls to where Malik Willis fell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If it's that range, yes, I can see the Rams doing it. However, I also see the Rams if. Once it's time to move on for Stafford, doing what they did to go get Stafford with someone else. They're just going to go do that again. The Jags, look, man, Trevor got, 4 more years? I think Trevor's going to be there people are going to try to force that to work no matter what.
Yeah.
So Trevor's there. The Vikings need to get their hands on a young quarterback, but I think they got Kellen Mond, so we'll see how strongly they feel about him.
Yeah, and again, where they end up.
Yep.
I think that'll be the thing. If I think you're in the top, you're in that area where you can reach the top two guys.
Right.
You have to consider it. And if you're later, now you're actually making a real comparison. Now you're looking at like how Pittsburgh did this year. And again, some of those other guys have talent, but it's still development that they're still working on. You don't know, a lot of unknown. Whereas the other two, you feel like you're getting stars.
Right. And then the other thing to think about with Minnesota is like at what point do they accept that, like, hey, let's turn the page with that group that was supposed to do all these things that hasn't been able to do it yet. Like, they've been good, but I don't think they've reached their potential, like what they thought they could be this whole time. Like, they keep getting knocked out. So that's where they are. Kansas City, look, I don't think they're thinking about it. I think it's one of those things where something falls, you might take a look at it. The kid's not going to be playing anyways.
Right.
So the Saints.
They don't have a first-round pick, but again, they definitely don't seem like they have a. I don't know how much. I don't know how long Jameis signed. Was Jameis only 1 year?
I think it was in 1 year this time yet again.
So yeah, they don't really have a set plan. So for them, it's Jameis and Dalton and Taysom Hill. But again, if something falls to them, maybe they just keep grabbing vets because of the way they're building their team. But I don't see them reaching out to try to grab. And the way they went for the Super Bowl this year, I can't see them deciding to go young at quarterback next year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just think it's because of the uncertainty. Like, they need to get a young quarterback in there because you tried to get a young one before. Ian Book isn't and wasn't it because we saw last year prime opportunity. If you had anything to show, they gave you the opportunity to show it. They finally accepted that Taysom Hill is not, in fact, the quarterback. They need to get somebody in that building, whether Jameis stays or not. You need somebody young to look forward to. But I mean, we'll see. The Raiders, I think they're cool with Carr, and I don't think they expect to be picking, up there where those two dudes are going to be anyways. Here we go to Giants. When they pick the eye, it's a matter of which one of them they can get their hands on. Be real honest. I think that regime they've made it clear they have no ties to anything that has happened before them. None of it. No matter who you are, that was pre-us, and that's not our problem. In their minds, Kayvon and Evan Neal are they're building blocks of their regime.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Look how they did Daniel Jones. No. We'll figure it out. It's okay. Yeah. AKA, we're going to take one of those studs next year. Put ourselves in position. The Chargers have one of those young studs, so that is what it is. I still think the Eagles are going to... I think Jalen's still going to be there. Unless something happens this year where maybe if Jalen plays himself out of it, then they're going to take Jalen and them 2-1s and make a move to put themselves in a situation. But
yeah, for him, I think another one of the weird ones where the pressure is, if they don't make the playoffs, it's a question now, because especially with the 2 first-round picks. But anything else, I guess there's certain improvements they're looking for, but again, he's going to have them, even with having 2 first-round picks, he's going to have them so far away from what I'm thinking, have them, as a division winner or some type of high wild card. So I would imagine they're picking in the 20s and trying to put their pick and the Saints pick together to get down to the top 5 is going to be hard. And again, it's just a little bit of growth you don't need to see a ton from him. You just need to see a little bit more from last year, a little more consistency, which comes with time. And anyway, so I wouldn't think they would grab a guy, but again, if they're close, if they have an opportunity, knowing that you have a ready-made team, if you're able to convince yourself that the quarterback's the problem, then it's something you have to do. they're in a prime spot to make a serious jump. You know, and then it comes down to what does Jalen want money wise? Also, you know, does he want to be paid like the top guys, or does he mind being paid, you know, the Tannehill money, or you know, where does he want to fall? So that's another part.
Like you said, what makes them a little bit different is they're one of the teams that have a young quarterback. They have assets. Some of the teams have a young quarterback, but you have no way of doing anything. You know, moving around it, no anything. But look, man, we'll see. They have the ability to move some things around if they so choose, which makes the Eagles interesting. The Dolphins, I don't see them picking that high. Like you said, I'm kind of with you. If it's not Bryce or CJ, yeah, I think Tua's gonna be there. I also think McDaniels is perfectly fine with Tua. Like, I gotta remember that he's coming from a place where, you know, someone did a little bit less than Tua. So like the fact that Tua could do all these things, like I think he's okay with it.
Yeah, I think also losing that first round pick killed that. You know, so now they only got the one pick, and I think their picks.
It's the Niners pick, and it's yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna be a late pick anyway. So
yeah. That
pretty much killed all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, like you said, I don't think any of that next group quarterback, whoever makes it that late, is worth for them. And I think they're gonna have a good. I think Tua's gonna have a solid season, enough for them to think they can build another year out of it.
Yep.
And plus, first year for them actually being fully healthy, hopefully healthy. But I don't see them making the move. But again, they are in a position where if things went really left, they consider, because just like Philly, they loaded their roster to the point where they feel like they're ready to.
Right. Yeah, there's another group with assets in case. Got the Niners and the Pats. I'm gonna say no to either one of those two. They'd be on a year 3 with their quarterbacks that they took in that 5 quarterback first round last year. So I don't see that. Seattle, I see no matter what, they're taking a quarterback. No matter what happens this year, I think they're taking a quarterback. And I don't think I think they're riding with Geno and Locke no matter what happens. No matter who becomes available, that's who they're going with. And I think they're fine with that going into this year. Like in their mind, I'm sure they would love to get their hands on Bryce or CJ, knowing that, time-wise, like what they've done with their team, it could line up right. You got a bunch of kids on that defense. Give them a year's worth of playing time and reps. Get them in the right direction. DK and Tyler are still going to be DK and Tyler. Next year, you should know what you have in Kenneth Walker at running back. And then the kids should be able to slide right in next year if you get a pick that high. And you keep it rolling. They slide into a team that's ready to – that was essentially built for them. The Jets, like I said, with the Niners, and I don't think anybody that took quarterbacks last year is moving their quarterbacks. I think those are the young quarterbacks that are off the table. If you took quarterbacks before that, like Justin mentioned earlier, depends on that asset your team has and how far left things go. But it's still too early for those 5 teams from last year. Like, we didn't even get to year 3 yet. Those other guys we're talking about, like, entering year 4. So, totally different discussion. Tampa Bay, I don't think they're picking that high. So, I don't know, but they need to get a young quarterback in that building. They definitely need to, because Kyle Trask isn't it. You need to get you somebody with some tools or whatnot to build around or build up, what have you.
No, definitely. If anything that falls to them, they got to take a shot because, they're not really that old of a team, and in key spots they have the receivers, they have some defenders that'll be around for a while. But again, they're definitely in 100% win now mode. So grabbing a guy by act who slid that they can work with would be perfect for them.
Agreed. The Steelers, I think they're going to be right back in here looking for a quarterback. Like, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I think what they did for this year was hopefully try to get through this year. Kenny's going to get an opportunity to prove that, like, maybe they don't have to. But even, like, my whole thing is if Kenny ends up being the guy this year, that means you missed on Mitch, right? Which means you're still going to need another quarterback. So if neither one of them proves anything, you're right back to where you were, selecting a quarterback in the first round. If something falls to you, and again, that's another team where I don't expect the pick to be high. So pick and choose what falls to you. But again, we saw somebody with the tools of Malik Willis fall to the fourth round. We have no idea what can happen in terms of somebody with tools that you might have to do that whole the coaching thing. But someone might fall. For some reason, the Steelers are definitely one of the organizations where things tend to work out, even when they make mistakes. They tend to rebound rather quickly. The Washington Commanders. I'm gonna let you have that one.
Definitely. They're. I don't think there's anything really Wentz could do to keep the job. I think it's more if Wentz somehow went down and Howell came in, and again, it's a late enough draft pick that they don't mind throwing him away. Like a fourth round pick can be a backup, so it's not a big deal to have him as a backup. But I think for Wentz, I mean, they gave up a lot to get him. That's the part that makes it strange, But I just wonder. If they make the playoffs, again, winning is the only thing. If he wins far enough to keep them away from that pick. But, I do think they're still looking for a quarterback. I think this was a move to try to, I don't even say like the last resort, but like a hope move, hopeful. We have a decent roster. Maybe we catch lightning in the bottle type thing because there is talent there. But I just, I see them, the way things have been, I see them looking for a quarterback.
And I know they took Sam Howell, so I'm sure he'll get first crack at it if something happens with Carson this year. However, you took Sam where you took him. If you go back in the next year again, if you have a chance, you might take someone a little bit higher. And it's not an indictment on Sam or anything, but the bottom line is that position is still a question mark. And it's not like it's one of those things where, again, not to keep going back to the teams who took quarterbacks last year, right, in the first round. It's not one of those type question marks. We're like, hey, what could they be in 5 years, in 3 years, in 4 years? It's this dude's on the other side of that question. His question's on the other side of that little 4-year line. We seen him have his rookie deal. And it's kind of like we're still asking those questions. So, it's a totally different thing. Last but not least, the Titans, and I'm going to say no, because they shouldn't have a chance at those top two. And I think those are the only two they would consider from a tools perspective, considering what they ended up getting in the fourth round.
Yeah, no, Malik Willis would have to be a disaster in camp, meaning not even now. By the end of the season, feel like there's no hope. And then even then, you're still going to be too good, record-wise. You'd like to think. Like I said, if things were, again, if you're in that spot, maybe you have to consider it if things go really bad. But there's just too much talent that, this team could win games if Tannehill gets hurt. The defense and the running game. So, yeah, I don't think they have a shot. And I think they view Willis as a lottery ticket, as for him to fall that far and the potential and you're not gonna get somebody with better tools than him, really. So if you're picking a spot where you're taking a tools guy, it's not a comparison. But if you're in that spot where you have the top two, now you at least have to look at the progress you've had with Willis and what you think he can be moving forward.
Yeah, I'm with you. They found that is found money. They immediately picked up that ticket, ran up there, cashed it in, and yeah, I don't think they're worried about it. I think the other thing is I think they're really already committed to that kid being post. That transition between him and Tannehill. I think they're committed to it already. I don't think they're worried about it. Because like you said, from a tool perspective, what are we talking about? And the other thing is, you shouldn't be picking that high, which means those two would be off the table. And no disrespect to the rest of the guys in the class, but again, from a tools perspective, dude would have had 1 year in the NFL already. 1 year in NFL coaching. Yeah, I don't see them moving off that. Like you said, he would have to be a super disaster for them to consider it. Right now, it looks like they have their succession plan in place for Tannehill. We gave you the contract, everything was cool. We're probably not going to give you another one. So here you go. And he came in with the wide receiver you took this year. Like, yeah, I think they made it painfully obvious. I think that's all the teams, man. That kind of does it. I think for us today, unless you had anything else you wanted to bring up. Anything else that comes to mind? Nope.
Not really, no.
All right. Outside of that, look, guys, enjoy the preseason games. We'll be back tomorrow morning to talk about some, anything interesting that happens tonight in those games. But obviously the big weekend, and then Monday we'll definitely have a lot to talk about because it would have been a whole weekend full of preseason games, and gives us some time on Sunday or whatnot to go over some of those things. See, there's gonna be a whole lot of noise about things that matter and things that don't, and we're gonna try to bring you guys the stuff that you can actually take away from preseason, where stuff is super vanilla on both by both teams, both sides of the ball. It's essentially just some game cardio, if you will. That's it. The only thing that can really be taken honestly is there's a good number of teams that don't tackle to the ground in training camp. See how running backs do. See how your defensive players do actually tackling. Because for the most part, they just been thudded up and whatnot. So, that's one of the things we'll find out. But y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we'll see you tomorrow morning for Mornings with the Focus.